Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Michigan, New Jersey, Tennessee, and Virginia. Listen up. WynnBET is now live in all these states, and the excitement of Wynn Las Vegas has finally landed in online sports betting and casino play. From boosted parlays to live in-game offs on every major sport, WynnBET gives you the tools to win. Sign up today for your risk-free $1,000 sports bet. Download the WynnBET app now or visit wynnbet.com to start winning.
You're listening to Building the Broncos with Nick Kendell and Carl Dumler, Broncos country's leading draft and scouting analysts. Get on over to milehighhuddle.com to sound off on all things Broncos.
Welcome in. It is 6:01 p.m. Just a little late for Broncos for Breakfast kicking off. I am Nick Kendell and joined by, as always, Carl Dumler. Carl, how are you doing today?
Broncos for breakfast or building
I've
the
been
Broncos?
doing so many Broncos for breakfast shows that that's my brain. So shout out to Scott in the background here. But what hat am I wearing? It says Building the Broncos. Okay,
there you go.
This is Building the Broncos Tuesday night at I am still Nick Kendell, right? And Carl Dumler. Carl, yep. Good to see you. How was Legs Day?
Leg day, they're a little limp. I tried to get into the shower and almost fell over, and
oh man,
I thought I might be texting from the floor saying I can't make it tonight. But no, I made it. I'm good and feeling good.
Well, good. That's good. I've had actually probably one too many listeners let me know that, hey, I listened to you in the shower. It's like, you know what? Thank you, I guess. That's we really appreciate you. But no, we'll take whatever we can get. Obviously, we got a lot of people in the house today. Michaela Parker, how you doing? Good to see you. We got Donald's in the house. Awesome to see. Jay Kozad's in the house. Jamie's in the house. We got Roy's in the house. In the shop with Willie. Always great to see you, Willie. Hope you're doing well. Mike Woodward's in the house. Evening peeps. Awesome to see. Michaela's really just doing great in the chat. Michaela, we love you. You're doing great today. Good to see you. Good to see you in here, of course. And like I said, this is Building the Broncos. That's what the hat says. Yes. Okay. Tuesday nights. I am Nick Kendell with Carl Dumler. You can find us both on Twitter. Myself at Nick Kendell MHH and Carl at Carl Dumler MHH. You can also follow us at BTB Football Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Make sure you go to huddleuppod.com to get your swag on, get all your gear there. A hat for every show, right? That's what I collect hats. Now it's even more. So my wife's really stoked about that. And we also join us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. If Facebook's not your thing, but YouTube, if you're not in a position to contribute to the show, although you are all contributing by engaging in the community and, in that way is great, but subscribe, like, and share, hit that alert button so you know when we go live. And Carl, I know we have the big giveaway. The month is starting to wrap up, but we do have the Patrick Surtain jersey giveaway. So tell these people what they have a chance to do right now.
Yeah, if you give on YouTube or Facebook, you have an opportunity to get a Patrick Surtain jersey. And that guy, he's been lighting it up. I saw a stat today saying he hasn't given up any plays of 20 plus yards, which I would agree to disagree. I think he's given up one. I know. I wish they would clarify some of those things for PFF, but even with that, I mean, the guy's been lights out. Everything you could ask for a top 10 pick for the Broncos. Looks like a future star that's going to be here for a very long time. And so this is a jersey that you do not want to miss out on. And like we said, you get an opportunity anytime that you give on YouTube, Facebook, you've got an opportunity to get your name in the hat and get an opportunity to win that.
Yeah, and absolutely. I mean, coming off here right away, Michaela Parker, one of our number one supporters of the show. We appreciate you. They say, hi, fellas. We should open a pool and guess the day the coaches will get fired. Oh, man, I'd be about that. Put up a prize, Denver Broncos for life. I mean, talk to Chad. He'd be the boss for that, but I definitely think it's possible. I'll tell you right now, my money's going to go in after the season. I think that that's probably the direction the Broncos are going. So, maybe we can spin it as a positive. They're loyal to the coach or something, but it does feel like this is a team that's checking out and an inevitability at this point. For a 3-4 team, that's sad to say, but go ahead.
Yeah. So I completely read that wrong. I've been hanging out at a pool for 6 weeks. And so I thought she meant like we should pool our money together, buy a pool, all of us hang out in the pool and talk about when coaches are going to be fired. I'm like, that sounds like a cool idea. Just everybody hang out. But yeah, that's probably not what you meant there. But no, thank you, Michaela. Really appreciate that. And always great seeing you in the chat.
Listen up, Broncos country. TickPick should be your first choice to buy football tickets because they save fans money by never charging any service fees ever. TickPick is the exclusive ticketing partner for the Huddle Up podcast and the Blue Wire Network.
Denver Broncos football is finally back, and there's no need to exhaust yourself searching all over the internet to find Broncos tickets anymore, because TickPick, that's TickPick, is the original no-fee ticket site and the only one you'll ever need as your go-to for all NFL tickets. TickPick got rid of all those awful service fees that the other ticket sites charge, which lets them guarantee the best prices on all of their NFL tickets. Don't believe it? If you can find better prices for the same seats on another ticket site, TickPick will give you 110% of the difference in the purchase price.
That's right, guys. When we were searching for tickets for the MHH meet and greet for week 3 at home, Broncos versus Jets, TickPick had us locked down. So visit tickpick.com/huddle today and use the promo code HUDDLE to save $10 on your first order of Broncos tickets.
Yeah, we also got Vincent coming in over on YouTube. $10. Thank you so much, Vincent. He says, "Don't worry, Carl. After 7 games of watching Fangio and Shermer, I'm a little limp also." God, just had somebody say TMI earlier. Well, let's deconstruct the entire team and start over. They all must go. And I'm frustrated too, but I don't think everybody has to go. There are some good players on here, right? Like Myles Garrett was on that team that the Browns lost all those games, ended up having the number 1 overall pick and taking Baker Mayfield. Did Myles Garrett have to go after his rookie year? I mean, he can go on my team. He can come over here if they wanted to do that in hindsight, but I don't think everybody has to go. But I wish they would just admit that this is not a super good team, and if they are not bad, then they're not good. It's like it's worse to be in the middle than actually bad. So we can do. Well, what can we do about it? Thank you so much for the comment, though, Vincent. Willie did not see your super, but we have some people we want to give a shout out to with the with all the YouTube and Facebook stuff that I know Scott is going to pull up here for us. Just a second, as long as I keep stalling long enough. And Chad, Scott, okay. Anyway, let's keep it going here. We're going to talk about some Broncos moves, and then once those are all ready to go, we will pull those up. The Broncos did make some moves today, and that's what the title is today. Probably the most shocking is that of John Brown. And here we go with the stars here. People coming in. This is for YouTube, of course, and we got our new contributors over on YouTube. 727 Mil, Broncos 007, had a good 007 conversation this morning. Moron, who likes to dabble in Facebook a lot, but came over on YouTube, so we appreciate you. Ziegler, we got Vincent coming in, who Vincent just contributed again. Awesome to see Vincent. Daniel Garcia, Brian Van Vorst, JJ, and Kiaka in the house is new, and also Broncos 16-1. And then we also have our stars coming in. We don't want to forget you guys. It's like going through the top 10 rankings in college football, right? Like we were talking about some of the teams that had some good wins this week. Now we're going to the top, the Alabama of the list here. I guess I should say the Georgia this year. Mark from Georgia, then Michaela Parker, Christy coming in. We got Naj, Seth Harmon, Chris Hernandez, Dale is DW there. Good to see you, Dale. Hopefully you're here. Brian Greenfield, Aaron Lynch, and Shane Daniels. And I know that Chad also has our stars behind the scenes there whenever he gets that up and running. Here we go. 86, man. We jumped a lot. That's awesome. Almost there to 250,000. We don't have a lot of time left, but that would be that'd be awesome to get. And you guys, if you get your stars in and the super chats or either or, you're going to get a chance to win that Patrick Surtain jersey, probably one of the Broncos' best players. See, we don't have to tear everything down. Keep Patrick Surtain because that jersey is going to be valuable. Andrew Lampy, Randy Jones, Michael Ronquillo, Josh Hoyle, Shane Daniels, always great to see. Lawrence Rivera, I think he's in the house. Mama Moody coming in there. Tim Hoffman, that's a new name coming in. Peter Middleton, of course, and Howie frickin' Day. So obviously, if you didn't get your name in there, you got a chance to still do it and win that Patrick Surtain jersey. A lot of people in the house. Tim Durr in the house. Charlie Beagle, it's awesome to see. Trickle had me silenced on YouTube, so I have to come here. Oh, Charlie, you don't have. I'm not going to silence you as long as you're saying good things about Casey's Pizza in Iowa. We'll be okay. Stars coming in. Travis Tarbox, one of our big star givers here. Evening, fellas. Hope our Broncos and Hawkeyes, there we go, get back on the winning track. Also, what are your thoughts on Kenny Pickett for our next quarterback? Carl, I know that you were out of the country, and it was hard enough to get NFL games for a bit, let alone college games and for the ACC in a down season. Have you watched any Kenny Pickett yet from Pittsburgh? I mean, gosh, 3 and 4, and we're talking about college quarterbacks. So what's going on?
Yeah, no, I've watched him this last week. Obviously, had himself quite the game to take down the dreaded Clemson team. Not quite the dreaded team that they've been the last few years, but still, hey, that's a big victory for that program, and Pickett is a big part of that. I mean, him coming back was a great decision on his part, but he is on the older end of quarterbacks. And we've talked about it on this show many times that quarterbacks kind of have these like 3-year windows of growth, and Pickett's on the wrong end of those years of growth. And, Drew Lock was kind of that same way. He was a little bit of an older quarterback coming out of college. And so you kind of worry, has he maximized what he's going to be? And also I kind of worry of all those years before, he wasn't that great.
No, he wasn't.
I mean, he was maybe a draftable quarterback, but we're talking day 3 kind of guy. So are you really going to use a first round pick after a guy has one great year? I'm not quite there. The tools are good enough, but there's nothing that just stands out to you that says this guy is just going to be a star. And now I'm not saying you have to have the perfect tools to be a great quarterback by any means, but they help. They make things a little bit easier. You don't have to be perfect on everything else to make it work.
It makes the learning curve from college to NFL a little bit easier. We have seen some not as athletic quarterbacks succeeding here. And we got Willie, man, you're trying to hurt my feelings saying Casey's pizza is terrible. That's an insult on my people. Come on. They have great breakfast pizza. That's honestly, it's the breakfast pizza is what I'm here for. Man, nothing better than enjoying yourself a bit too much camping the night before. And like, we got no food. We're going to drive and get Casey's breakfast pizza. No, that's, we'll flash you here, Willie, but that hurts. That's not very nice. Kenny Pickett, I think he's a quarterback where he has enough arm talent, where he has enough athleticism. I think he's got a lot of heart. I mean, watching that Clemson game, you can see he's putting it all on his team's back, which you got to respect. I don't know if he's going to make the Baker Mayfield climb. You're talking about a guy who was like barely, day 3 draft eligible. That's what Baker Mayfield was coming into his senior season, if you recall, maybe a late, just outside the top 100, but he rose to 1.1. Yep. So there's still half the college season to go. He could move up for sure. I was never a big fan of Baker Mayfield at 1-1 overall. And I've even learned, I guess, more since then that tools early on can really help a quarterback. I mean, all the amazing quarterbacks right now in football, besides Tom Brady, seem to be these guys with just exceptional athletic traits, whether it be Kyler Murray, Justin Herbert, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, right? Like those guys. And now you do have the Joe Burrows also. So I'm not ready to bury Pickett. I guess the long way to get to it. I'm not ready to bury Pickett, but I would not be comfortable taking him in the top 10 or in the top 20 right now of any draft class. But this one is specifically, I think he'll get moved up because of the lack of guys at the top.
Right.
So we got George coming in here with stars saying, it's a little thanks for your insight, guys. It does make it easier to deal with what's going on with the team. Well, George, thank you very much. If it's Carl and I, unfortunately, started this building the Broncos like when the Broncos actually got really bad. And like, oh, who wants to talk Broncos draft when they're picking in the bottom end of the draft every year? Not the case since we started this show, unfortunately. But still, you guys make it fun for us and easier for us with what's going on with the team, because otherwise we'd just be spinning our wheels and getting frustrated. So we appreciate you guys a lot, and we appreciate you, George.
For sure. And you're going to get us canceled now because they're going to be like, you guys started the downhill trend of this team by becoming a show. But no, we really do appreciate it. And it is. Yeah. It's a lot of fun to talk to you guys, and it puts things into perspective. Mm-hmm. That as fun as it is to be able to cheer for a great team, it's so much more fun when you have a great fan base to rally around you and talk and just realize, I mean, we can talk life, we can talk everything here. And we just really appreciate you guys pouring your time into us and giving us this opportunity to talk with you guys. But we got Seth Harmon coming in here with the 1999 super chat. Really appreciate that, Seth. How many more consecutive losses till Vic is gone? Well, I would say the bye week. If the Broncos lose to Washington, then is it Philly the game? I can't remember who's the next game, but then I think it's the bye week, right?
Yeah.
You lose the next two.
3 NFC East opponents, I think, in a row, right? Washington football team, Dallas, and then the Eagles.
Okay, yeah. That's how it is. So I think if we get to the bye week and the Broncos haven't won another game, it's pretty easy to see he's going to be gone.
Yeah. I really could see Peyton riding this ship out, especially with the lack of ownership. I mean, Ellis, it sounds like Elway and Ellis still have a heck of a lot of power in the decision-making going on right now. And they might just want to go down with their ship, unfortunately. We got James coming in saying Solar Power, baseball reference there. So hopefully that means good things for the our Braves. I've co-adopted them with Scott here. Because, I mean, nobody besides people in Houston want to see the Astros win. Charlie coming back in here too saying, I think Kennedy dude brought the Falcon curse with him. Hopefully not. This team seemingly like it was cursed well before Scott came over. So what can you do? Let's get to the matters of business, though. Well, not the matters of business, but the main topic at hand. Broncos made some moves today. The number one being John Brown was released The Broncos did not call him up from the practice squad I think it's the wrong terminology. They did not make him one of the active 53 with Jerry Judy being taken off of IR. And with that, John Brown asked for a release from the team, is my understanding. I think Mike Kliss put that out there specifically. So the Broncos granted his request, and now John Brown, his era over as quickly as it started, essentially.
Yeah. I mean, it was always going to be an uphill battle for him to be anything big for this team. I mean, if a player is on the market at this point in the season, they're not a good player. You're not finding this diamond in the rough that all of a sudden turns the tables of how your franchise is going.
Not likely.
Not likely.
Not
Every once in a while, maybe you'll find a guy. But, I think of like Brandon Marshall when the Broncos brought him, the linebacker, not the wide receiver. You know, he was kind of a late season addition. Todd Davis is another that kind of came over that was on a practice squad. Both of them became very good players for the Broncos. So I'm not saying it can't happen, but it's just pretty rare, especially for a 32-year-old guy that is known for speed. And speed is one of those things that just falls off a cliff in a hurry. And he's not a special teams guy. So you add Jerry Judy to this list, that pushes him back to 4th, 5th wide receiver. You need those guys to be special teams guys.
Yep.
And so it's understandable. This was kind of a mutual thing that I think works out for both sides.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I think I haven't gone back and watched the all 22 yet of the Browns game because it was painful enough the first time. I don't know if I want to subject myself to that. And if Brown was going to stick around, I was going to highlight him a little bit and watch him. Unfortunately, or fortunately, I guess maybe that didn't happen. So when I do go back, I think I'll watch Garrett Bowles versus Myles Garrett. That's thanks, John Brown, for all you did for this team and organization for all the 2 games you were here. And good luck going forward. Lawrence Rivera coming in here with the Stars. What about Mitch Trubisky? Oh God, help me, Carl. Is he up for grabs? We know he can make a coach look good. Mitchell Trubisky, I think it was Daniel Jeremiah recently had a segment talking about him saying wherever Brian Daboll goes, I think Mitch Trubisky is going to come with him, and people are seeing how bad that Chicago team is independent of Mitch Trubisky. Maybe Trubisky got the short end of the stick there, and he'll get a better chance a second time around. What do you think there about any of that? Daboll coming with Trubisky, giving a shot at Trubisky, what kind of deal he might get, given he's young and still has some perceived upside, et cetera, et cetera.
If it means we get Daboll as head coach,
yeah,
I could honestly get on board with that. If Daboll believes in him and can build an offense around what his skill set is, like he did with Josh Allen, please go for it. I'll take that risk. You know, if it fails, hey, you got a great quarterback draft, possibly the year after that. Usually, if you have a really bad quarterback draft, the next one looks a lot better. We'll see how that goes. But Trubisky, there's some things to like. He has some decent tools for sure, but there are some plays at Chicago that were not the coach's fault. Guys wide open, nobody within 10 yards of him. And I mean, Trubisky's staring at the wide receiver. They have the all 22 where he's looking straight at the wide receiver and won't throw it.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of those kind of plays. So like I said, if it gets Daboll, that's the only way that I'm really good with that kind of decision.
For me, it comes down to like what kind of contract he's looking for and what kind of years long commitment he is. If you're bringing him in and he's like competing with Drew Lock next year for the starting job or something, you understand that, hey, unfortunately, maybe another transition here unless we get lightning in the bottle with one of these quarterbacks. And being honest with the fans, they'd never do that because that's just admitting, where you're at. But I might be interested in that. But we'll see. I guess it could be worse, but it feels like a lot of the same. But at least the same has been a short-term commitment, and you didn't trade, a 2 and a 4 and extra capital for Sam Darnold, who looks terrible. Right. At least these ones are not high, big investments where they're flaming out. Yep. Michael Ronquillo, good evening, Nick and Carl from Building the Broncos. Go Broncos. Bleh, can't read. Good evening, Broncos country. Go Broncos. Michael, I'll do better next time with that one. Good to see you, Michael. We love you. We got Kiaka coming in too, so you nailed that one. Aloha, my guys. I'm super pumped about Young. I'm calling it now. He's our starting inside linebacker next Sunday as well. If you traded for him, granted it was not a lot, but they obviously liked something that he's bringing. He knows he should know the scheme because Brandon Staley, et cetera, et cetera. Are you excited about Young? I know Eric was kind of being a rainy cloud about it, but Curtis Robinson's gone. That's another move the Broncos made, and Kenny Young is in. I think that's a big positive, and it's no disrespect to Robinson, but yikes.
Well, here's what I'll say. Last week was some of the worst off-ball linebacker play I've seen from the Broncos in a very long time.
It was bad. I remember the Vic Fangio's first game where Corey Nelson was starting at linebacker. That was one that was like, oh my God, what are we doing?
Yeah. Okay. It's close between these two. I mean, when you have 3rd and 7, where they're running it. They're at the end of the game.
Yeah.
And our linebackers hit the wrong holes. I mean, the entire game, they were hitting the wrong holes. They were over pursuing, leaving the backside cut every single time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like the easiest thing. Every single time, like, they're just going to cut it back. Boom, big 12-yard run. And it was it was hard to watch. So Young can't be much worse than what we saw last week. So I'm fine with the pickup. I'm fine with the trade. It's late round picks. You're just throwing something out there, seeing if it works. And he knows the scheme, like you said, so it's not a huge transition for him. Yeah. I'm good with it.
Yeah, there was such a negligible price that might as well take a shot. And hey, again, talking lightning in the bottle at the quarterback position. Maybe get it at linebacker. Maybe Young clicks and you pay him for a song and a dance really cheap this offseason, and you got some stability at the linebacker position because you are set to lose Alexander Johnson and Josie Jewell as well. I wish Young did have another year left of like rookie cost control. That would make me feel really good having that on the roster for 2022. But, what can you do? I don't think you're getting him for the price you did if that's the case. We got Deshaun coming in here saying, why shouldn't we trade everything we have to get Watson? We're never going to win without a quarterback, right? Oh, man, this is a complicated answer. I mean, it sounds like, Deshaun Watson is not interested in coming to Denver. He has a no-trade clause, and he doesn't want Denver. He wants Miami or somewhere warmer. So that's number one. Number two, everything else that's going on, I mean, that's really complicated. I'm not versed enough to have an educated opinion on that. So I'll, maybe it's a coward's way out, but I'm not going to give one. It does sound like, though, that the Miami Dolphins and the Houston Texans have a deal in place that revolves around some overtures from the league about what would happen if he is found guilty, and that the owner of the Miami Dolphins want resolved before the trade goes through. But that means Deshaun Watson would have to admit guilt, I guess, in a sense, settle, which he's claiming that he didn't do, so he doesn't want to settle for that to go through. So it's complicated, it's messy. I'm watching, very interested, I guess, just to see what happens. But God, my eyes are on Seattle. Like, what do they want for Russell Wilson? Because that's a young quarterback who's still pretty good, who can do some things that isn't going to embarrass you, I guess, in that way. He's corny as hell. Don't get me wrong. He's very corny, but unlimited an issue. Yeah, God.
The worst commercial ever.
Yeah.
Oh man, I'm with you.
I was a big Watson guy before everything came out, but it's tough, right? It's tough to see that.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm interested to see what happens with Tua if he does get traded. I know there's been some rumors Broncos are interested, but sounds like Washington's kind of leading that. Maybe a 3-team trade thing go on. That's very rare in the NFL, but this could be one of those rare opportunities because it's a rare situation. But all right, we got Nathan coming in here with a $5 super. Really appreciate that. Says, good evening, everyone. Times like this make the championship seasons much sweeter. This too shall pass, my brothers and sisters in blue and orange. Yeah, I agree. There's still times I go back and watch that 2015 season.
Yep.
Just to remember what it felt like to cheer for a team that's winning. I love going back to the 2013 season, getting to watch great offensive play and putting up lots of points and seeing guys wide open, scheme working well, quarterback that knows what they're doing. Sometimes you got to go back and just go back to the good old days.
Man, you sound like a Nebraska Cornhusker fan there, talking about like the good old days.
That's
when
right.
We used to be a powerhouse. I feel you, Nathan. But I'm also going to throw a little cold water on this. And this goes back to our previous comment about Deshaun Watson and getting him. The Broncos, things are going to get better eventually, right? We haven't been in this rut that long, right? It's only been 6 years since winning the Super Bowl. But unfortunately, this is a division that has some damn good quarterbacks that are not close to their age of falling off, right? Like you're talking about a decade plus. So I guess one positive is those teams aren't going to be looking for the quarterback. And with those teams having quarterbacks, maybe the Broncos will have multiple shots at the top of the draft to get a quarterback and hopefully right the ship there and take advantage of that when that comes. But it's going to be tough. It just is going to be tough. So hopefully it'll get better. But they can't take away those rings from us as much as they would try. Ethan coming in here. Ethan, damn it. $5 over on YouTube. Thank you so much, Ethan. Don't recognize the name, but welcome into Mile High Huddle. With the way the season has gone, I'm already ready for the offseason to see what moves Peyton and his guys will make. Go Broncos. Ooh, I'd go Astros. I got you. You paid the super. I'm going to read it. It wasn't inflammatory or anything, but it felt dirty coming out.
Yeah, you might have Scott reach through the screen to you here pretty soon. But
can he mute a host?
But no, I'm with you. I mean, we always love the offseason, obviously. That's one of our favorite times. But I am interested to see how much the ownership situation plays into that, because good chance owner's not established until March. So you're going to have to make quarterback or you're going to have to make coaching decisions. You're maybe going to have to make some free agency decisions with different players that could be hitting the market for the Broncos. So there's some things in play there that I wonder how that's going to play out, of how aggressive can they be with new ownership coming in.
Yeah, no, it's really curious given how much money the Broncos have, how many guys they're losing in the direction, like how involved the owner is going to be. You know, it's just a really messy situation. It's a big reason that I'm like, as bad as it is, you know, I'm not overlooking 2022, but like my eyes are like, okay, what can we do to be competing in 2023? Because that's when like there should be a little stability. You should have some idea. And I know that's goddamn 2 off seasons from now. Like I know that, but I just think that's the Broncos keep trying to take these like shortcuts or these 1-season solutions. They're not working. Maybe you should try a multi-year plan and at least like bring the fan base in, you know, to quit lying to us. That's the biggest thing. It's like, I don't believe you. How can anybody believe you when you're selling us this stuff? Joe Flacco's still elite. Get out of here. I don't know. Chase Wellner, $2 over on YouTube, saying, who would have thought Cincinnati would be scarier than Washington football team? Carl, what is this? Do you get anything from this? Any lessons learned here from this Cincinnati being better than Washington football team?
Well, I mean, Washington making the playoffs, they made it in a bad division. So you kind of knew regression was probably going to happen. Yeah. I mean, they brought in the beard for their quarterback, and he has really high moments and really low moments as a quarterback. So it was going to be hard for them to make the playoffs with a number 1 seeding kind of schedule that they had. Cincinnati, I mean, Joe Burrow coming back, kind of wondered how he would be. They added to the weaponry. I mean, Joe Burrow is one of those guys, you like you said earlier, you listed off all those guys who have all these athletic things, and then you got Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
And so he's one of those guys that makes you have to really question a little bit of your scouting.
Joe's a good athlete. Joe's a good athlete, man. He was a really good high school basketball player. I think he was listed as a dual threat coming out of college as well. So
did you see the picture of him with the cigar and the belly?
Not like Mac Jones out there, but
okay, that's true. But
he can make some things with his legs. And
I'm not saying he's like the worst athlete, but I mean, compared to those other guys, you know, doesn't have the biggest arm. Like I said, not the fastest guy out there, but I mean, he's smart. He's hardworking. That's easy to see.
Accurate.
And accurate. And when you got all those things.
Oh my God, he's so good in the pocket. Sorry, not to go off on Joe Burrow love here. I think the biggest lesson here is you don't, in an off season, you can talk about how great your defense looks, blah, 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 blah. Until you see it on the field, it doesn't mean shoot, right? And you know what does matter? Quarterbacks. That is way more predictive season to season. So who would have thought this Broncos and Washington football team would be as bad as they are given all the offseason praise? You know, nobody. But you can't really depend on defenses until you see them out there, right? Like, I think that's my biggest lesson here. We didn't know that Broncos 2015 defense would be what they were until it was obvious on the field. And this year, like, oh, they could be as good. Not even close. So I'm not betting on defenses going forward. I think that's the biggest lesson here. Michael coming in. Great to see Broncos country here on Building the Broncos with Nick and Carl. Go Broncos. Go Michael. How's that sound? Let's get a go Michael in here. Also, another friend of the show, Muhammad Badri, saying St. Carl and Braun in the house. Good to see you. We got Naj coming in now too. $20. Hey brothers, if the Broncos end up with a top 5 pick, do you see a quarterback worthy of being drafted that high? If not, who would be the ideal pick, regardless of the position? If the Broncos are picking top 5, this is gonna maybe upset some people, but I still don't think it, like, look in hindsight, Quentin Nelson top 5, a guard, maybe not. But in this class, you cannot be picky about the specific position. You need difference makers. You need guys that have a chance to, with a bust in Canton. I almost said Cooperstown, wrong sport, World Series mind. But I don't think the position matters as much. So, like, if the best player on the board, if you're picking 5, is Kyle Hamilton, and you like Caden Stearns, you obviously like Justin Simmons, I don't give a flying, you know what. Get the best player. You need difference makers because you do not have enough. So I guess long answer there. Who would be ideal? Kayvon Thibodeau. I mean, he's going to go 1.1 overall. Broncos are not as bad. Broncos are bad. They're not Lions bad. They're not Houston bad. They're not Jets bad. They're not going to get Kayvon Thibodeau.
He's one of those guys. Myles Garrett, I'd still have above him.
Oh yeah,
but he's not much. He's not much below that, in my opinion.
Yeah,
he just dominates. He's got ability to bend around the edge. He's got power. He's got ability with timing the snap. He's got actual pass rushing moves. He's not just an athlete. Part of Myles Garrett's problem was he was more athlete than football player coming out a little bit.
Oh, but what an athlete.
Yeah, I know, it's true. Now that the football skills have caught up with the athlete, I mean, he's just a freak. But that would be the ideal player when you add him to this kind of roster, to that defensive roster. He's one of those guys. Yeah, any roster. He kind of reminds me of even 2013 when Von Miller got suspended, then got hurt, all those kind of things. Those like 5 games that he actually played. The defense was a top 10 defense, even with all their other injuries that 2013 season with Von Miller. Without him, they were a bottom 5 defense. I mean, that's how big of a difference Von Miller in his prime made.
Yep.
Thibodeau could be that kind of guy for you.
Yeah, he's amazing. Broncos won't get a chance at him. They're probably picking right now. If I had to guess, I'd be saying somewhere between 8 and 14, which is probably not what you want, but we'll see. A lot of season to go. Maybe they still make the playoffs. God, who knows? Crazy things happen. But other guy for me, top 5. I don't know if you've gotten a chance to watch much Big Ten yet, but there's 2 edge rushers in the Big Ten that I'm a big fan of, in Aiden Hutchinson and George Karlaftis, and I would be ecstatic about either of them. I think they're both decade-long edge rushers, and given how poor Malik Reed's looked, given Bradley Chubb's injury history and last year of control next year, and Von Miller seemingly like he's not going to be back after this year, those are 2 guys that I'd look at just to get some core players on that position. Speaking of core, man, Michaela coming in big time, man. We thank you so much. $50 over on YouTube. Any ideas how to save the season? Hate giving up. I feel getting rid of the coaches is the only way. What do you think, Carl? Do you think getting rid of the coaches is the only way?
I don't think so. I think there's some adjustments that you can make. Okay, so a few things that I would do. Yeah, Vic Fangio. I've tried to support the guy for the most part. I've liked a lot of his scheme on defense, but he's gone away from his scheme. He's tried to kind of make all these pieces work and change things up, and it's not working. Either get back to your scheme and what you do and just say, to heck with trying to get all these other guys on the field, just make my scheme work. Or Vic Fangio, get out of here. Let's see what we can do. I would give Mike Shula some play calling ability and let him go see what he can do. And getting Jerry Judy back is going to help. Obviously, getting Albert Okwuegbunam back here is going to help on the offense. And then I maybe make a couple changes on the offensive line to see if we can maybe get a little more power going for the run game. I know Vic Fangio talked about how they worked on 1st and 2nd down today.
Yeah.
Well, part of the problem is the offensive line is getting 0 push for the run game. Yeah. So go get some of your bigger boys out there. Moody, I know he's on COVID list, I guess.
Oh, you said the word.
Oh, I'm sorry. The sick bug. Sick bug. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
Don't hurt me, YouTube or whoever you are. But no, so we'll see on him. But Quinn Miners, he is one of your few guys that has really shown just incredible attitude on the field. Not perfect by any means. I mean, he never was going to be as a rookie. But man, that guy, when he's on the field, he's a monster. And so I would find a way to get him on the field. Even I know a lot of people are Dalton Reisner fans, and I've been a big Dalton Reisner fan, but he hasn't been great this year. Lloyd Cushenberry, maybe this is where you make the move of moving Glasgow over to center. And just, I wish for these 10 days that we heard that was kind of something they were thinking about, because I think Glasgow's better as a center than he is a guard sometimes. But those would be a few moves that I would try. And then just you really got to the big thing is you just got to have a heart-to-heart, coaches, players, everybody, and just say we all got to get on the same page. We got to work through our issues of whatever we've had going on. I know coaches and players have had a disconnect going on. It sounds like Fangio has gotten into a lot of yelling matches with players. This is the time where Fangio's just got to humble himself and say, you know what, I've messed up, guys. I've not been a good coach. I've not been listening to you guys. I've not been doing this, and this. and just get the players' respect back. You do that, and maybe they trust you. Maybe something good could happen there.
Yeah, no, it's frustrating, for sure. The Broncos right now don't have enough. They can't get home with 4 consistently. And you also lost your best blitzer with Alexander Johnson. So now you cannot manufacture pressure the same as good when you had him. So I don't really know what the scheme or the schematic options are. Also, because you're running such a match quarter zone heavy scheme, it takes buy-in from the safeties and everybody communicating and not trying to do jobs outside of the scope of what they're asked to do on a given play. And you are not seeing that as much. So you have this long week. I guess it's a little bit late for this now, but I hope that they went to the players and said, okay, right now this isn't working. The last 4 games defensively, we've been a bottom 5 defense in the league. That is inexcusable for the talent that we have. And I put that on me as a coach. I want Fangio to take some god darn responsibility, point at yourself when it's not working, not at the players or your other coaches, right? Be better. But I want to go to the players, get the buy-in there. What do you guys want to do? What do you think's working? How can I put you in the best situation? So that way these guys feel like they have some ownership in what's out there. Because right now, I thought they had a little more heart in that Cleveland game, but it looked like they gave up against the Raiders. And that's just unacceptable. If you're going to get beat, I'm ready for it being not a good team this year with the injuries and just everything going on, but not to give up like that on the field. You can't do it. So thank you very much for the comment, Michaela. I don't think there is an easy, simple solution. And I don't think firing Vic Fangio is going to result in anything besides the inevitable, which is the wheels falling off the bus and us trying to figure out where we go from here. But we'll see. We got Deshaun coming back in saying, do you guys watch Tim Jenkins on YouTube? He breaks down the film every week. Pat Shurmur calling fire Teddy is just limited as to what he can do. So he's saying Pat Shurmur is limited based on Teddy. I would agree that Teddy is Teddy deserves responsibility, and he'll be the first one to tell you he struggled the last 4 games. He said he was playing at 75% in that Cleveland game, and the Broncos were scared to death schematically in that game, rightfully so, given how good Clowney and McDowell and Malik Garrett have been with an injured quarterback and your offensive line struggling. But I like Tim. Tim's funny. We had a little bit of back and forth early on because he said some things, and I was, he thought that I had way more power than I have. Tim, I am just a fool up here having a good time. Don't take me seriously. I don't. But if Trey Lance is good, then Tim will never hear the end of it from me. That's all I'll say.
Yep. No, I'm with you. I've watched Tim's stuff, and I appreciate what he brings to the table. Obviously, a guy that's been in the league and knows what he's watching, and he's very, very smart and communicates it well to fans. And I agree. I think there are times where Pat Shurmur has done a great job. There's other times where he has been very predictable in exactly what he's going to do.
Yeah.
Second and long, we're going to run the football straight up the middle. That's on Pat Shurmur. Every team knows that's exactly what he's going to do every single time. Yep. And he just doesn't break from that tradition. And it's been proven, if it is second and long and you make the decision to run, you've pretty much given up and just said, we're going to have third and long. That's what you've decided as a team. You've given up a play. And so that's the one thing that just really bothers me with Shurmur, of some of the things that he does. And then sometimes when your quarterback is struggling with injuries and not
limited in himself. Yeah.
Right. And, sometimes you're still spreading things out and making him have to run around and do some things. That's again on some coaching. I'm not saying that Teddy doesn't deserve fault in some of the things that he's done. Like I said, everybody has to take ownership in what they've done. Cortland Sutton has dropped a couple plays that he shouldn't have dropped. Teddy has missed some plays that he shouldn't have missed. Offensive line has just been bad. Real bad. Teddy's getting murdered back there.
And you're just talking offense right now. The defense.
Yeah.
There's a website that has some sliders on it and data where you can filter for garbage time. And I did it for defenses that were win probability of either over 90% or under 10%. So pretty much the game is over. You either have already won or have already lost. And the Broncos, when you do that for 10 to 90 and 20 to 80, have not only a bad defense, they're the worst defense in the entire NFL over the last 4 weeks.
Yep.
Is some of that and we got stars coming here from Randy Jones. Good to see you, Randy. Thank you so much. It's unfortunate, but I don't know how much of it is the defense finally giving up on the coaching staff. Is it the injuries? Is it this defense being deflated by the offense. Here we go again. We have to play perfect to have a chance to win. Which, it's probably all of it. Everybody's looking for a one-person solution. Oh, if we fire Shermer, everything will be fixed. Oh, if we play Drew Lock, everything will be fixed. It's way more complicated and multifaceted than that. Unfortunately, I wish it was that simple. I guess it is as simple as if you get like Aaron Rodgers playing back there, a lot of things will look fixed. We have what we have right now, and hopefully we'll get going in the right direction. Personally, I don't think either of these quarterbacks are you're going to be starting next year, let alone 2023. But that's not every single team has a franchise quarterback.
Right.
And we're unfortunately one of those ones right now that is wandering the desert.
Well, Michael comes in with a good idea, at least a beginning idea of something the Broncos could do a little bit more of run the ball with Javonte Williams. Thank you for the stars, Michael. More because he is hard to tackle in space and always moving his feet for extra yards. Go Broncos. That has been whenever it's a bad season, I think there's always those little silver linings that you can look for and say, hey, this is what you can like. This rookie class, there's been a lot to like about this rookie class. Patrick Surtain is playing like a true starting cornerback that's going to be here for a long time. Javonte Williams looks like a franchise running back. I mean,
is that even a thing in this era?
I think it is. I think when you can look at a guy and say, hey, I want him to have a majority of the carries in a game. I can see that moving forward where you want to give this guy the ball 20 times, 25 times in a game and let him really control it. I mean, his ability to break tackles and make some big plays, even though he's not a speedster.
Yeah.
It's nice to have on the offense. And, looking at the rest of the draft, Quinn Miners looking like a guy that could really become something for you in the future, a real trend, tone setter on the offense. That's nice to see. You got Caden Stearns, who's made a few plays. That's been kind of a nice little bright spot for the Broncos. I'm trying to think of the rest of the draft class if they've made any kind of impact. But those are the main guys that I can point towards and say, hey, this is something you can build on.
Yeah, Eric's killing me here. Stop the quick fix, but please go get Aaron Rodgers. I think the question is here, can you get Aaron Rodgers? All right, I'm all in. If the answer is no, then it's the rebuild. That's the fork in the road.
Or Russell Wilson.
The way I look at it. Or Russell Wilson. Yep, that's I agree with that one. And I'm here with Jamie to draft O-line again and again and again. Definitely an option. I'm not as much. I mean, have you watched these Broncos last 3 games? Has anybody on that defensive front looked like somebody that you want to hang your hat on? Even Von Miller. I mean, Draymond Jones is flash, but he looks complimentary. You don't really have an alpha there on that defensive line right now. So give me the best defensive front or offensive front player right now. And let's get tougher because these Broncos teams have looked really soft. Maybe that's part of the coaching. Maybe that's something else. Maybe that's this team using how many draft resources have they used recently on trench players? Really, out of the last 3 draft classes, like the top 2 round picks, the only one is Dalton Reisner. They haven't taken a tackle they haven't even drafted a tackle since they drafted Garrett Bowles. So stuff like that is, got to get better there. Maybe they need to invest in a little bit more of the old school stuff with the trenches.
Yeah, unfortunately, they hired a GM that loves the back end football.
Yeah, but he also understands that you need to invest in the defensive front. They used a lot of picks on the defensive line. They got lucky getting Daniel Hunter and Everson Griffin when they did, but still, they paid those guys, and also the Vikings. Not this year, but last year, wheels fell off the bus there for their defensive tackles. So I don't think he'd put them in that vulnerable of a situation. And we got some Iowa Hawkeye stuff going in here. Go Hawks, the Iowa Sports Review. I'm about it. I also saw Michaela saying that they were volunteering to play quarterback going forward. So let's do it. Michaela for quarterback. Why not? Heck, let's get her that. Let's get him that bonus check, right? And if we can get enough games in the league to be a vested veteran, now we're really cooking with grease.
Yeah.
But I have some people talking Linderbaum in here now. It'd be fun. You guys, this is something here. This is just a football philosophy talk in general. How good is you Iowa people know this actually, maybe not, but Iowa has one really amazing top 15 player, one of the best center prospects in the last decade, in Tyler Linderbaum. The Iowa Hawkeyes offensive line is bad overall across the board. It's not going to take one guy. It's never going to be about one guy on the offensive line. It's going to be about the collective. So even if you invest in a guy this season, doesn't mean it's going to fix the offensive line, because it takes legit 7 guys that you need out there that you trust that can rotate and step in. So it would be great to invest in that offensive line, but it is still going to take time. It's a constant investment, right? It's like putting money in your retirement fund. Like you have to just do a little bit constantly, and hopefully it'll add up, but it's not going to be a fix-all.
Yep,
And
you're
Charles,
right. And
you got to start somewhere. Not a bad call, Charles.
yeah, and it is. It's hard to keep an offensive line together in today's NFL. With you've got limited number of years that you can put a group together, and trying to get them all on the same page usually takes a couple years. And I mean, we're seeing even with having Mike Munchak as the offensive line coach.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll support that guy till the end of the age because I still think he's a great coach. But obviously, with this team, he's just not getting it across to them what they need to be doing, or something's not clicking quite with him this time of year. And even Garrett Bowles is kind of taking a little bit of a step back this season, and that's been a little bit tough to watch. That this guy that everybody was all excited about after last season, and now he's not contributing to you. Shelby Harris is not contributing like he was last year. Justin Simmons, how many times has he been out of position this year? Man, there's just been some times where you're just wondering, like, I wonder what's called on the field, and I wonder what the players are actually doing on the field.
Yep.
Are the coaches messing up in their calling and saying, hey, I want you, even though you're the single high safety, I want you to play to the short side of the field?
Mm-hmm.
Or are you calling it where, hey, man, you've got to cover the deep middle of the field here? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where the disconnect is. That's part of the problem here is unfortunately we're kind of on the outside looking in on some of that.
Yep. And there has been some rumors of the safeties. I wouldn't say yelling, but getting into it with Fangio, some heated discussions about going on. At least I'm grasping for straws here. At least I guess that shows that they care, right? And they want to get better, and they want to be put in the situation, and frustrations blowing out, which is better than apathy in there. That team is still at least appearing to fight. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. The Broncos did have a couple more moves. Obviously, they waived Curtis Robinson, which was the linebacker. I feel bad for him, right? Like, it was so obvious that he did not belong out there, and they targeted him, and it probably never should have been in that situation. I guess he got to play, right? His name's on a jersey. He'll always have that. But did not belong. That was unfortunate to see him do that. And also the Broncos waived Demaria Crockett, running back from North Dakota State, off the top of my head.
I think so.
Been on and off the team for a number of years now in preseason and whatnot. So I wouldn't be shocked if he was back again in a week. And the Broncos, interestingly, we talked about it. Moody going on the sick bug list. Purcell's probably not going to play this week. Vaughn is day to day. Here's just a news information dump for you guys. The two that interest me, though, positives, Jonas Griffith returning off of IR. He was the special teams ace / linebacker the Broncos traded for from the Niners. It's a warm body that can play the linebacker position. Maybe that'll help, even if it's not special team specific for him. And the other one is Albert Okwuegbunam is returning to practice. Maybe he'll go this week, maybe won't, but getting at least a little bit healthy on offense. And Jerry Judy supposed to be back.
Yeah. Well, and I look back at that Giants game where they had both those guys healthy, of Albert Okwuegbunam and Jerry Judy. And that was the best the offense looked, obviously, this season. I would say when Okwuegbunam gets healthy, wouldn't surprise me to see him as the starting tight end. No. Noah Fant hasn't been great, and we've seen a better connection between Bridgewater and Okwuegbunam so far this season. I know he had the bad fumble. And then, of course, Jerry Judy and Bridgewater have had a great connection this entire offseason, and we're having a great connection in that first game before he went down.
Yeah, he was
and so
180 yards or something.
Yeah, so those two could really change the course of this season, just getting those two back if they're fully healthy. All right, well, we got Naj coming in here with a $20 super chat. Really appreciate that, Naj. Always love seeing you in here. Says, bros, from your knowledge of Fangio, is he the type of human capable of humbling himself and taking ownership of his mistakes and going to the players? Well, I would say what we've seen so far this year, no. He really has put it mostly on the players. They're not doing their job. That's pretty much been his mantra this entire season. And it's very frustrating to hear that he's taken almost zero ownership of the problems of this team so far this year.
Yeah, that is really frustrating. Now he's starting to talk about the offense as well, not getting it done, and his players not getting it done. And you know what? Watching the game, I will say to Vic Fangio's credit, scheme-wise, some people have not been executing, right? But guess what? It's still on you, coach. you got to figure out a way to motivate those guys to execute your scheme. So even if it's not working out, if, they didn't go out there and do what they were supposed to, well, then figure out how you can get them in a position to do what they're supposed to, or to change what they're supposed to do. So that way they're going out there and doing it. It's not as simple as just firing Fangio. It fixes everything. But Fangio, going out like this, talking about the players not executing and et cetera, is disappointing. Yeah, it's just disappointing for me because that's not what you want to hear from your coach. I know that coach speak, Scott likes to say it's, just BS. It's lying. And I appreciate that. One always makes me laugh. But there is, I would say, a certain protocol or behavior that you expect from your coach where, and maybe this is me being old school, but the buck stops here. I got to be better. Put it on me. I didn't put those guys in a position to succeed. They played their heart out there, et cetera, et cetera. Even if he doesn't believe it, you need to go out there and front that face for your players. And so they know that they have your back or you have their back. They don't think that. They don't think that. There's no way they think that.
Yeah. I think one of the greatest coaches' speeches ever was the Oklahoma State coach that he's like, I'm a man. I'm 40. Stop yelling at my quarterback for throwing interceptions, those kind of things. He's like, put it on me. This is on me. Come after me. And I wish we'd see Fangio just do that once. I think the players would be like, okay, this is our coach again. Yeah. I really think they'd get behind some of that. But right now, it just doesn't seem like that's the case. And I'd say the only coach that I've seen actually take responsibility, and I know some people are going to be mad about this, but McMahon. He's the only guy that has actually come out and said, you know what, special teams problems, those are on me. I got to fix some things.
The special teams is the best unit last week.
Well, it's probably true, but which is, oh my gosh, I can't believe we're even saying that. It feels bad coming out of our mouths. But I mean, that's probably the only guy that has kind of taken some ownership for the problems of this team so far from the coaching staff. Shermer hasn't done it. Fangio obviously hasn't done it. And Donatel, I haven't heard him really say it. We don't really hear much from Donatel.
You don't hear from Donatel? Who?
Yeah. Kind of forget he's still there.
Yeah, he's it's unfortunate, and I do think that Fangio will latch on somewhere and probably be a good DC for probably a more offensive-minded coach that wants nothing to do with the defense. And maybe that's his niche. There's something to be said about being a head coach versus being a coordinator. It's a different job. It's a different skill. We got Hero coming in here. Vidal. I'll just go Vidal. Does anyone know what the interviewer said to Shelby to piss him off after the Browns game? I know it was Ryan O'Halloran. I don't remember the specific question, but I know that Shelby essentially said, you're always asking dumb bleep questions. So I don't know, man. These guys are going to be upset. They're losing, and it's ugly right now, and there's going to be some lashes out. I don't think that's the media's fault to asking tough questions. Now, there are stupid questions out there. We've all heard them. There's one where Bill Belichick, they're asking, he's like, would you like to run the ball successfully? And he's like, what are we even doing here? I'll have to find that clip. It's hilarious. But I didn't know the specifics other than it was Ryan and it was Shelby.
All right. Looks like he asked the question 4 times was part of the.
I think Scott's saying that he asked in the chat multiple
times. Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
It's when you're losing, all questions seem very negative and you get very defensive. Yep. All of us do that. When people are questioning your ability to play and it just everything comes off bad. And which, I mean, it should. I mean, I don't want the media to pull punches by any means.
No.
I think they have the right to ask the tough questions to these players. I mean, they get paid the big bucks to go out there and answer some of these questions. But also, I mean, these guys are doing what they're doing because they're football players, not because they're great interviewers.
No. Yeah, no, it's definitely frustrating to get that there. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. So, Carl, we got 3 games left, I would say, before the bye week. What is it going to take for Fangio to get fired in that time? Do you think there's any chance that something like that could happen? Or is it he's going down with the ship and, I'll be damned? Because I know historically Kliss is putting out there like crazy that the interim head coaches have not worked well for the Broncos, which to me means somebody's telling Kliss that also in his ear from the organization saying, so it's probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
But is there a chance where you could see something like that happening?
I think if you have 3 games where you have the team just get beat on both sides of the ball badly, and I mean, Washington, as bad as the Broncos are, Washington might be one of the worst 3 bottom teams in football right now.
I I don't know about that.
Well, okay, there are some bad teams out there, I guess, but they're pretty bad. They're struggling big time. Obviously, can't get much going on offense, and defense has kind of been up and down all over the place. I don't know what all happened to their defense this year. Kind of like what we're asking the same questions about the Broncos this year. And so, I mean, if you go out there and get destroyed by Washington, and the next couple games again, where just the team just doesn't look like they're prepared, doesn't look like they're caring a whole lot, I think at that point you have to make a change. I think the fans would storm Dove Valley if you don't make a change at that point. I mean, the pitchforks and torches are coming out. I think that's what happens at that point.
Yeah, no, it's rough. And honestly, I would love it if the Broncos go 0-3, they probably have to play Drew Lock. Give the people, let them eat cake. Let give the people what they want, and hopefully we'll have some directionality and a definitive answer one way or the other. Right now, I think that if that was to happen, it would be a call from above Vic Fangio, because I do not think Vic Fangio is going to play Drew Lock if he has any say in it. I think there's a lot of trust lost there last year with the style of football he wants to play. Drew putting them in a bad situation defensively, which obviously we know that's what matters to Vic a lot, how the defense looks. And also the whole thing with the tracers and whatnot happening. Vic, I think that really, really made him upset and lost a lot of respect there. And some people saying Fangio's already fired. I mean, they went out and traded for somebody who knows his scheme and an edge rusher too, right? Like Peyton's still going out there, even though it didn't cost a lot, going out there and giving the coach at least means to go out there and execute his scheme and get a win out there rather than leaving him out to dry. So it's unfortunate. And it's just where the team is, but they are only 3-4, one more win, and we're right back in this thing, baby. We're tied here with the Kansas City Chiefs. I can't imagine how they're probably eating their young right now. God, there's so many comments I could make from that one. We'll leave that one alone.
At least the team didn't lose 27-3. Let's just at least say that. And it's nice to kind of see Mahomes struggling a little bit this year compared to years past.
God,
he's still a good quarterback by any means, but I mean, that defense is just atrocious. As bad as the Broncos have been on defense, that Chiefs, that's like a bottom 5 defense of the last 5 years.
Yep. It's unfortunate. We got Andrew coming in here. Good evening, Andrew, saying, catching y'all late from work. What's up, Nick and Carl and my brethren? Cheers, Broncos country. # Mile High Huddle for life. # Denver Broncos for life. Well, good to see you, Andrew. It's okay that you're late. You can just go back and hit the rewind. Do it again. Maybe do it while you're cooking yourself some dinner or something. It'll be a good time. Or, like apparently people like to do, listen to us in the shower. I don't know. Have you had people tell you that, Carl? I've had at least like 4 people say, I listen to you in the shower.
Yep.
All right. I mean, God, I hope it's the podcast version. It's not I don't need leave the video out of there. If you're just listening to us, that's fine. That's whatever. But leave me out of the video there. But yeah, man, no, it's great to hear that this team is, I guess, making moves, right? To do some things. We got Mark coming in. Got to throw my favorite podcaster some stars. Mark, you're great. No, I don't listen while I'm in the shower. I'm on my way home from work. Yes. Well, that's awesome. Keep your eyes on the road, though. Be safe.
Yep.
We appreciate that. We also have Hero coming in here saying, thank you for answering. You can never hear the dang questions. It's like we can't afford microphones in a multi-billion-dollar league. Fire Shermer. It's frustrating, and I hear it, guys. I wish that this is a big reason that I was pining for a quarterback option this offseason in the draft or anything like that, because there are so many issues with a team or a roster that a good quarterback is probably the only cure-all. Right? Like Peyton Manning played behind a worse offensive line than the Broncos have had the last 2 years. Crazy, but true. Yep. He was an elite quarterback. Even his last season, I mean, mentally he was able to cover those things. A good quarterback can cover a lot of holes. And when you don't have it, these things tend to fester. They get worse. They spread. And until you get that guy, it's going to be tough.
I've always wondered, are there great coaches that have been fired because they couldn't find a quarterback?
Oh, yeah.
And how many bad coaches have been lifted up by a great quarterback that have had this incredible career, but were never a great coach? That happens all the time in the league. Like you said, quarterbacks, I mean, they're about 50% of what happens on the field, whether you win or lose. I'm not saying I'm contributing wins or losses to the quarterback, but I'm just saying they do play the biggest part. And so it's tough to really gauge how great a coach is one way or the other. Without that quarterback, or even with the quarterback, then you're kind of questioning, is this coach even helping? Is there somebody better that could come out here and do more? I don't know. It's unless we see a coach that really just lifts up other guys. I mean, I think there's a couple guys out there that we've seen really lift up because of their scheme bad quarterbacks and make them look better than what they are. I mean, Jared Goff, he was lifted up by having a coach that knew what he was doing.
That's crazy, man. Who knew? So Matt Stafford is better than Jared Goff. I saw a lot of takes on Twitter that why would they do that? That they're essentially the same quarterback. That's insane. I guess the big one I want to ask here before we get on out of here to you is Vic Fangio moving on. Let's say he is moving on. Don't even give me a specific name. What kind of coach would you be looking for to bring to this team? Because I think we might have slightly different answers, and it might have a lot to do with where I see this team from a 1,000-foot view.
Well, I think I know this is going to sound a little, I don't know. Some people would be disappointed in this kind of answer. I wouldn't mind a retread coach. One, I think a lot of times you see first-time coaches, most of them fail. They really do. The odds of them getting everything right, a lot of guys need a time of getting fired, trying to figure out what did I do wrong, what did I do right, and then coming back and actually doing something. And I think you need a guy that's going to be a very calm voice. I think that is a good player's coach because Vic Fangio has not been a player's coach. He's been a schematic guy. I think he's been I think he's done a great job with his staff of actually like coaching up young players and helping them to do better than maybe what their play was when they first especially came into the league. But I want a guy that can actually communicate to these players because they just have not had that for these last few years. And Vance Joseph was just, I don't know. He was a rah-rah guy that he was out of his league. I mean, like I said, we've had a lot of first-time coaches all right here in a row, and it is not done well. So I want a guy that can that's been there, done that, and has learned from his mistakes.
Yeah, for me, I don't give a hoot if they're offensive or defensive. I need somebody who can come in and help establish a positive culture in this locker room and get some belief in there. I know that's really easy, simple thing to say, but really, I mean, they just need a get right guy in terms of that because right now it sounds like things have been toxic there. So somebody that they can be, and I believe in, that has their back. So that's a name that I keep coming back to. He has not been listed to the Broncos, unfortunately, is Todd Bowles. I know that, oh man, we need an offensive mind, but like Todd Bowles, he was in New York. I'm not going to judge him for being in New York, just like we shouldn't judge Bill Belichick for being with the Browns those years, you know? He's also had some time to work across and see Tom Brady and understand what that means for an organization, as well as Bruce Arians out there. So Todd Bowles is one that interests me a heck of a lot. And also I like that he will change his scheme based on the opponent. You know, he's a blitz happy coach, but against Patrick Mahomes, he's like, you know what? We're going to give this guy time. We're going to drop whatever. And I think our offensive line can get after him. And he was right. Mahomes looked terrible and the Chiefs got whipped in the Super Bowl. So Todd Bowles is one. He hasn't been linked with the Broncos, but I think he's a get right culture guy. Players love him wherever he's gone. And I think it would be one that I would personally stamp the approval on.
Yeah. That's a good name. I've always liked him. When he was with Arizona there for a while, loved what he brought to that team. And I thought he helped the team play above their talent. Yeah. And like I said, with the Jets, he had very little talent. He still had that team winning quite a few games. I mean, they still weren't great by any means, but they were also in a division with Tom Brady. So that's never easy to go out there and win that division. And I think he was saddled by some ownership, by some just really bad decisions all around. And he still had them playing great every single week. And please go get that guy.
And like for every Sean McVay that's out there, the scheme leader for that team, right? Like the identity for his side of the ball. You have Kyle Shanahan too, right? Whose scheme is great, but like, I feel like you're losing out on a lot of the other areas that you need to have that CEO leader who has a finger in everything, but not a whole hand. Right. Yep. So that's something I think that hopefully you'd get from a Todd Bowles, empowering those guys around him. But who knows? I mean, God, 3-4. Maybe the Broncos win this game against Washington football team. They go on a hot streak. They win another game. They go into Dallas, shock everybody, and then win another game. And then, what would we be then? 6-4 going into the bye? It's possible, right? We still have Broncos 17-1 contributing to the chats all the time, although that's impossible now. But, the positivity's still out there. It's not all doom and gloom. We still got a lot of season to go. Yep. We'll see. I mean, hell, when we're talking about things that could happen, maybe Drew Lock comes in and provides a spark for this team, and we go on a run, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Jerry Judy coming back. Maybe all of a sudden he looks like that Pro Bowl wide receiver that the Broncos have been missing there in the middle. Yeah. The guy that can get open early and fast. And there's so many things that could still happen for this team to go right. You still might get Bradley Chubb back after the bye. So if you can even just win 2 of the next 3 and find yourself at 500, get yourself Bradley Chubb back. Maybe that defensive line all of a sudden starts playing lights out because all of a sudden you got somebody else that can get after the quarterback. So Michaela said it earlier that we need some positivity. We need some hope that we're not just already looking at the offseason and saying, all right, we're done with this season. What are we going to do in 2022?
Yep, exactly. So we're going to get guys back. We're going to get healthy, and hopefully this will be more enjoyable football going forward. Win-loss, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be here for you guys, whether that's the Broncos, going in the direction we want, or the Broncos in another offseason of uncertainty, but hopefully getting better, getting another draft, and building that foundation going forward. So we'll see. Peyton, the eyes are on you. Hopefully it'll get better. That's going to do it for us today, guys. So we appreciate the heck out of you. Make sure you're following Carl and myself on Twitter, Carl at Carl Dumler, and myself at Nick Kendell MHH. Also, make sure you're following us at BTB Football Pod and at Mile High Huddle. Go over to Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle and Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Join the conversation there. If we didn't talk enough Drew Lock versus Teddy Bridgewater, that's going on over there. If you're tired of that stuff, find a different chat. There's plenty of things. That's the beauty of those groups. And get your opinion out there and engage in some conversation, hopefully civilly, but you do you. Also, YouTube, subscribe, like, and share, hit that bell notification, and you'll know when we go live every single, and my cheeks are red. It's because I'm in a blanket here, and it's actually starting to get warm in this room. But what can you do? So Carl, what's the rest of your night looking like besides obviously watching our Braves win the World Series or win the game 1 of the World Series?
Well, of course. No, I'm going to go spend a little time with the dogs, and haven't got a couple days. I've only got to kind of do a couple little things with him. So I want to go play a little soccer with him and just maybe watch a movie with him. I'm not sure. I've got a few options here.
Oh, man, Jeremy, making me laugh here. Start the shower and hit rewind. Well, again, I'm not going to tell you guys what to do. Carl's haircut is looking pretty good, I will say. It's he's been looking pretty fly there. So thank you guys very much. Obviously, building the Broncos. We'll see you again next Tuesday. But until then, stay safe, make good decisions, go Broncos.
You've been listening to Building the Broncos. Join Broncos Country's deep divers at milehighhuddle.com to keep the conversation going.